All right, so this doctor, we recorded the first part of this. This is over an hour and a half long, or about an hour and a half long, but he talks about the three areas that are working together against us in health. There's actually more, but I'll take these three.
Really started rolling out this on a mass scale. They did in Wuhan, they did in Italy, they did in Iran, they have some of this in New York, they have some of this in California, they have.
Now, a mass scale in Italy, Middle East, and Iran, New York, and we're talking about G5 towers.
Some of it in fragmented areas, but they haven't rolled it all out. In fact, in Wuhan, they only had 2,000 of the 13,000 or 14,000, however many towers they had. They only had 2,000 of those towers that were turned on, and they turned them on in.
But this shows you that these towers, even part of these towers, did enough work and damage to help kill a lot of people. So these towers are part of the plan. It's G5.
December of 2019. Now, lest anybody misunderstands, there's some people that are out there saying that this technology caused COVID-19. No, it didn't cause it. But think of this as a three-pronged stool, all right?
Now listen to this. There's three areas. The electromagnetic frequency done by these towers is part of it.
You've got an issue of toxicity. You've got an issue of change in the
toxicity. Now it's interesting. That toxicity can come in forms of previous shots, can come in forms of what's in your food and diet. It can come in prescription form.
Radio frequency electromagnetic fields that are being generated, which is what this technology falls under. And then you've got a previous history of what's been done to people over the last decade under the pretense of public safety. And when you put those three things together, it's the
shots and other things, prescriptions and other things.
The perfect storm. It's like having the eggs, the flour, and the milk to make the cake.
So between prescriptions, electromagnetic frequencies, and whatever this virus is in the environment, that is, by the way, is not a natural virus. It is a biological weapon. It's been created in a lab. And there are many people that believe it's created in the United States, transferred over to China, and released there. I don't know if we'll ever know the full story or truth of that.
All right, if you don't have the milk or you don't have the flour.
So these three things together are going to cause a lot of damage. Let's move on here.
Is that when your body is stressed, there's an increase in viral shedding. There's an increase in the release of viruses. Where are they being released from? From within our cells, because that's.
So viruses, he says, are a natural part of our body and our immune system, and helps us to adapt to the environment. It has been going on ever since we've been created. And masks help increase that stress on the body and bring out viruses from inside us.
That's where they live. Viruses come out, and it's creating an increase of mobilization, if you will, of the viruses within our system. So wearing the mask.
Increased mobilization of the viruses in our system. So wearing the mask is going to help break our immune system down and increase the viruses' mobility in the body, and make us more susceptible to other complications.
Is not only idiotic, it's actually promoting their agenda. When I said they're, the people that are responsible for this pandemic, it's actually making people more susceptible to getting sick. Okay, what else are they doing? Stay at home, isolation. I go through all these things in those videos. So I'm going to jump forward now, Brad, if it's okay, to kind of tell you what's going on, what's really getting ready to happen, because I haven't covered this. I think only one video has covered this, and that's just recently I came out. But I want to get this new information out to people because it's critical people understand this. All right? I get your blessing on that?
Yeah, man. Come on, man. I want to drop this episode right now. I wish we were going live.
All right. So here's what's happening. There is this prediction that there's going to be a second wave. There is going to be a second wave. The second wave, the reason they know it is because they're planning it. So here's how the wave is going to happen.
They're planning it. they knew, and they've already tested this somehow. Already tested this somehow. And this is the question that no one is bringing up. How do they know? They've already tested this somehow.
Happen. They're going to ease the restrictions right now. People are going to start coming out. And one, people have been in their houses. They've been stressed out. They come out. Their systems haven't adapted enough because they've been stressed out. They're walking out into an environment. Again, it's like they've been kept in a sterile environment. People are going to get sick when they come out just because they've been away from each other. So that's a normal process when you have a bunch of people together. People are going to get a little sick.
I'm going to talk more about this. But this has been planned, and somewhere they've already tested this thing out. So they're going to introduce these vaccines in stages and then finally make them mandatory. I hope not. I'm afraid what he's saying is probably more true than not.
And now I'm shocked, but your name of your show is Dropping Bombshells. That's when he dropped the bombshell on me. He said, yeah, they were all tested and they had all H1N1, but they were also all 64 of them had the H1N1 vaccine. All 64 that had the vaccine died. Now, the reason we didn't have 60 million
All the people that had the vaccine died? Oh my God.
deaths in the US, and by the way, what I'm talking about is applicable to the whole world, but the reason we didn't have 60 million deaths in the US was because people refused to take the H1N1, and that's exactly what has to be done now because
Refused to take the H1N1. Remember, the Dr. Black talked about that. They're setting us up. They're setting us up. Vaccines to kill us.
if they don't, they will have millions and millions of people, not just in the US, but over the world. And I'm not kidding you. I believe that if this agenda goes through, there will be billions of people that will die because their agenda, Gates's agenda, his eugenic agenda is that the world cannot sustain a population over 500 million, that 1 out of 15 people should be surviving, 14 out of 15 need to be eliminated. 7.7 billion people on this planet right now, and they want less than a billion, half a billion people, which means 1 out of 15 would be surviving, 14 out of 15 would be eliminated. So, I know people are going to think that this is way too much for people to handle, but I want to explain to you how they're going to do this. So now we come back after the second wave hits that they're going to, under false pretense, say it's COVID-19, but it's not going to be COVID-19. It's going to be the rollout of this technology that people are going to be exposed to, which is coming to a much greater extent. Remember, in Wuhan, they turned on these towers in December, and that's when people started dropping. They've been introducing this stuff into children. When I said this stuff, various types of poisons we don't even know about, into our children, into us. For people that have been taking the flu shot, I haven't had a flu shot since 1992. I refuse to. But for people that have had this, they're going to be susceptible.
Well, hasn't had a flu shot since 1992. And remember, there are a lot of people that die from flu shots. Don't even talk about that.
All these people that are supposedly dying of COVID-19 all over the world, I want to know how many of them had the trivalent flu shot, covalent flu shot, and the H1N1 shot. That's what I want to know. Of course, they're not going to put that data out because if they do, it's going to be a clear pattern. 99% I predict would have had those shots.
Okay, quick question. And by the way, I'm synonymous.
This is scary crap. This is medical warfare.
I'm famous for interrupting only because I'll forget and I haven't said a word, but this one's important. If we've already gotten the shots, like my children, how do we get it out? Is there any way to get this shit out of us?
The stuff that I know that's in the body, like nickel and formaldehyde and mercury, yes, we know how to take that out, and we've been taking that kind of stuff out for many years. There are other things like the DNA adducts and such. There are things that can be done to neutralize them. About getting them out, I don't know. But the problem isn't the things that we know and understand, Brad. The things are what has been introduced that we are not aware of. That's the concern, because we don't know all the stuff that they've been injecting. The mere fact that these people are testing positive for COVID-19 and never been exposed to it, and then you go back into these studies from 2018, 2014, 1984, and you see these positive for COVID-19 or positive for coronavirus, and then the so-called authorities, when you talk to them, the virologists that are part and parcel of Fauci's crew, when you talk to them, they're like, oh, well, those are false positives. And the media is reporting them as false positives. They're not false positives. That test is picking up something that was introduced into the body previously. It's just like when we call side effects of drugs side effects. They're not side effects. They're direct freaking effects of those drugs. They're not desired, so we call them side effects, but they're direct effects. I mean, just think about the idiocy of it.
True, true. This is scary crap. This is medical warfare. This is biological warfare. Population control, euthanasia, biological warfare. Been going on for decades. This is scary crap.
You know, if I punch somebody in the face and breaks their teeth and say, well, that's a side effect. No, it's not. It's a direct effect. I punched the person that broke their teeth. That's a direct effect. You can't call it a side effect. Just because it's not desired, you can't say, well, that's a side effect. This is the same thing with conspiracy. You can call it a conspiracy. You can call it whatever the hell you want. The truth remains the truth. And that's the issue. So coming back, was that thunder or what was that?
No, that's the bomb dropping. Anytime you say something, I think, man, people better pay attention to. I drop a bomb. But the problem is that the whole thing would be a damn bomb. So I got to just sparingly drop them. But at the end of the day, that's powerful shit right there. And people better pay attention. Better pay attention because, again, even if you don't believe it, and there's always these dickheads that go back and forth. It's like, no, you're so full of shit. Dude, this guy's a conspiracy doctor. Okay, who do you believe? Oh, I believe this doctor that says that doctor's full of shit. Okay, well, look, folks, even in commercials, 4 out of 5 doctors can't seem to agree on something. It's like, dude, if both doctors have a different opinion, could it possibly be theoretically possible that one's right and one's wrong? Okay, so now who do you believe? Because the question is, we don't know. We just don't know. We don't know. But what you're saying sounds, okay, on one hand, a little bit crazy. Like, you mean there's this scary group of people that want to inject us so we all die? And then you start looking at the history books and the global elitist and the people that are actually, they've existed. It's documented. Go look this shit up. It's real. It's not like you're making it up, correct?
That's it, Brad. Listen, you want to know about different doctors. Doctors are probably, just right now, the evidence is that the doctors out there, that the fact that the vast majority have not opened their mouths shows you that they are motivated by fear. Doctors are the greatest population of individuals as a whole. They have been attributed as being highly intelligent. They're not highly intelligent. I can tell you my profession is not highly intelligent. If you want to say what our profession is really, really, really well known for, and what you can say that nobody can compete with doctors, is the ability for them to process information and the ability for them to carry a workload. Doctors carry more workload on their shoulders than any other profession. But as far as raw cognitive ability, intelligence, no, they don't have it. They're glorified cookbook. They're following a cookbook. Okay, they're glorified cooks. That's all they are. And I'll take any doctor on and I'll explain that. This is one reason, I've always been kind of considered a rebel, but I'll tell you very, very simply that all my friends that were in college that were really, really smart, they didn't go into medicine. They went into chemical engineering. They went into electrical engineering. They went into business. They didn't go into medicine. You got to really want to help people to go into medicine, especially nowadays, okay? We can talk about that later if you want. But doctors are also like mules. They're stubborn and they're perfect as far as agents for this type of a hierarchy that's been created for the last 100, 150 years. The Flexner report that came out and basically anything that was natural occurring, they got rid of it and they wanted everybody to be focused on pharmaceutical medicine. Physiology is how the body works. Pharmacology is intervening with chemicals. Modern medicine is all about pharmacology. It's all about pharmacology. Nobody even understands how the freaking body works, okay? You get diarrhea. What does a doctor do? Doctor gives you an antiemetic to keep you from throwing up, or they give you, if you get the stomach flu, or they give you an anti-diarrheal to make sure that you don't have the diarrhea. That's what they do. They stop it up. But why is the body react? I'm just using a physiological example that'll make sense, all right? So why does the body have this process when it gets a viral infection, when it gets a viral gastroenteritis, that you start throwing up and you have diarrhea? Why does it do that? Because the way the creator designed our systems is that when you have something that's irritating your system, you want to, one, throw it up, or two, get it out the other end so that you can expel whatever the thing that's irritating you. So what do modern medicine doctors do? My colleagues will either give an antiemetic or an antidiarrheal to stop the process. So now something that would last for 24 to 48 hours lasts 7 to 10 days because they just stopped everything up. You know what? The only time that I will ever prescribe. I'll never prescribe an antiemetic unless a person's dehydrated, and I'll never prescribe an antidiarrheal unless it's a combat situation. When I was in the military, if you don't want to get shot by the enemy if you've got diarrhea and you're taking a squat to do your business. That's the only time. Otherwise, my treatment is hydration, minerals, rest, boom. Within 24 to 48 hours, it's done. My point is that physiologically, if you understand what's happening with the body, then you work with the physiology. But pharmacology tries to disturb the physiology. Pharmacology is designed to impact physiology using drugs to block reactions. Our bodies have over 100,000 reactions per cell per second. Now, you think that me or you or anybody else is smart enough, maybe we're smart enough to know how taking that one chemical into our bodies would affect that first reaction, maybe even the second reaction. But what about the other 999,998 reactions that are occurring every freaking second in every cell of a body? How do we understand what the implications are there? And we don't. Now, when you were talking about two different doctors who have different opinions, I don't care about a doctor's opinion. I really don't. In fact, I don't care whether anybody takes my opinion. My job is when people come in and if they don't agree with me, I tell them there's a door, you can leave anytime you want. I didn't ask you to come here. I need another patient like I need a hole in my head. I've got patients from 93 countries and we don't advertise. It's because people get better. It's basic understanding of how human physiology works. The problem with medicine is they've completely forgotten how physiology works. They're all about pharmacology because that's what they're driven to. That's what the pharmaceutical companies drive us to. That's what the medical system is designed to push the agenda of pharmacology. If you do something natural, then the doctor, and I'm not saying necessarily putting an IV into a body is natural, but it's extraordinary times. We've got in the last 30 years, we have an extraordinary level of pollution in the planet, and so we need extraordinary means to get rid of it. But I want to know, is it's okay to put in in fact, Brad, let me just ask you a couple questions. You open up this can of worms. I want to get back to what's getting ready to happen, but you open up this can of worms, so I want to continue down this line just for a minute, if it's okay. I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever broken a bone in your body?
Yes.
Have you ever gone to a hospital to get that broken bone addressed?
Yes.
What did they do? What's the first thing they did when you had a broken bone?
They gave me a shot to numb the pain, and then they set the bone and put it in a cast.
What did they do before they gave you the shot and before they put you in the cast? There's something they did to find out where the bone was broken. How did they do that?
X-ray.
X-ray. Now, do you remember when you walked into the X-ray? Do you remember anything on the door as you walked into that X-ray?
Yeah, like caution, this fucking shit kills you.
Exactly. Why do they have that caution stuff on there? What's going to kill you? What exactly is it that's going to kill you?
Radiation.
Walking in that room or the alligator in behind the counter? I mean, what's going to kill you?
Radiation.
Radiation.
And apparently your nuts are extra susceptible.
That's exactly right.
Sorry. That's what they cover the testicles up with the lead plate.
Organs of reproduction are susceptible. Exactly. Now, have you noticed that the radiology tech or the radiologists themselves, if they're in the room, they're wearing some protection, lead protection. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Or they're behind a door, right? There's a lead line door. Now, what is the mechanism of radiation causing damage? What is the concern? What does radiation do? Does it make you, pink, or does it make your testicles fall? What is it with the radiation that causes the problem? What are they scared of?
Maybe the polyunsaturated hydrocarbons that flow through the medulla oblongata and increase the blood flow to the erector pili will malfunction. I don't know.
Well, it's actually not, that's not the concern, but that is a concern for anybody that would be a concern, but that's not the concern of radiation. The concern of radiation is it causes mutation of DNA. It causes the DNA adducts to form. And do you know what the DNA adducts forming and what the mutation of DNA will lead to?
Cancer.
Cancer, exactly. Now, let's put that aside just for a second. Now, let's say, have you ever seen when people are putting together chemotherapy, when they're manufacturing chemotherapy or when they're studying chemotherapy? Have you ever seen pictures of that? Have you seen any video of that?
Not manufacturing it, no.
Okay. So when people are working with chemotherapy, they're usually wearing protective gear. They're wearing what they call a hazmat suit. Have you ever seen those images?
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think that they're wearing the hazmat suit?
Because what they're manufacturing is created with shit that'll kill you.
Interesting. Now, let's go back to the radiation example, and now let's bring in the chemotherapy example. Now you have cancer. You cannot have cancer if you have an intact immune system, but if you have damage to the immune system, you become susceptible to many things, including cancer. Now, we have a normal, healthy person named Brad that has broken his bone, and he goes into the hospital, and you're worried about the radiation causing DNA adducts to form a mutation on the DNA because it could cause cancer. But now you've got a person with cancer. Hey, you know what? Let's just go and give him some radiation anyway. Let's treat the cancer with the radiation that causes the problem in the first place. You know what? Let's go and give him this drug that we know will take a healthy person and kill them and cause cancer, but let's give it to now a cancer patient, and we'll tell them that it's going to help them, and let's see what that will do. Einstein said you cannot fix a problem with the same freaking mindset that created it. The freaking part I added in there. I inserted that in there, but that's what Einstein said. Now, can you imagine why would anybody that understands what I just explained want to do chemo and radiation? The reason is because of the propaganda that's fed to the doctors. Doctors buy it hook, line, and sinker, and then they take it and they're put on the pedestal that, hey, you're a doctor, you know better. So when a patient argues with you, you're like, you're just a patient. You don't have a medical degree. You're just an idiot. You just listen to me and do what I tell you. And that's how our system is set up. So now when you say, doctors will give different opinions.
Amen. Did you know that chemo causes second-generation cancers? All chemo? All chemo. What the hell are they doing? First of all, they made you sick to get the cancer. Then they treat you with chemo that causes second-generation cancer. It's money. It's money. It's money. You're a frickin' guinea pig. A money-making machine to them. This is bullshit to the highest degree. Excuse my language, but it ticks me off. How many people have I seen suffer from chemo, radiation, one or the other or both? It is disgusting, disgusting. The sick way they die. I've only known one doctor, an herbologist, that cured people by raising their body temperature and cured all people that were not cured by chemo and radiation still had cancer. And they shut him down. Southeastern United States over 20 years ago. This is a messed up medical system that is now trying eugenics and world population control by elite groups, pharmaceuticals that came out of Germany. Third Reich. Freaking scary. Freaking scary. This is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. This is part 2. Listen to this guy. I'm going to get off it, but this is bad news.